Do it look like his son supposed to be taking your dad? I don't even feel right. Y'all hear this time?
Gervonta "Tank" Davis has never been one to shy away from speaking his mind or making bold moves. After his recent draw against Lamont Roach Jr., he's shaking things up in a way that's got the boxing world buzzing. The decision to part ways with his longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, caught fans off guard, considering the deep bond they'd shared for years. But the surprises didn't stop there. Rumors are swirling that even Barry Hunter, the trainer who stepped in to guide Tank for the Roach fight, might be on his way out too. It's a whirlwind of change for a fighter who's built his reputation on consistency and loyalty, and it's leaving people wondering, is Tank making the right call, or is this a knee-jerk reaction to a night that didn't go his way? Tank's journey in boxing has been nothing short of remarkable. From the gritty streets of Baltimore to the bright lights of sold-out arenas, he's carried a chip on his shoulder and a fire in his fists. He was the kid who showed up first at the gym and left last, the one who'd sit by the ring soaking in every lesson Ford had to offer. Ford wasn't just a coach, he was a mentor, a father figure who took Tank in when he was just 7 years old. Tank used to crash at Ford's place, even sleeping at his seafood job when times were tough. That kind of history isn't easily erased, which makes this split all the more jarring. At 30 years old, Tank's career is at a pivotal moment, but Ford's 78 years of life experience and the decades he poured into Tank carry a weight that's hard to overlook. The Roach fight was supposed to be another showcase of Tank's dominance, a chance to remind the world why he's considered one of the most dangerous lightweights in the game. Instead, it ended in a controversial draw that left fans divided and Tank frustrated. Ford wasn't even in his corner that night, a noticeable absence that raised eyebrows before the first bell rang. Barry Hunter had taken the reins, and while he's a respected name in boxing, the chemistry just wasn't quite there. The fight exposed cracks. Tank coasted early, struggled to find his rhythm, and only turned it on late. It wasn't enough to secure the win, and now he's pointing fingers at his camp, insisting it's time for a new direction. For Tank, this isn't just about tweaking his game plan, it's a full-on overhaul. He publicly stated that Ford should focus on his family and the younger fighters coming up, framing it as a natural transition in his career. He argues that his career is entering a new phase, one that demands a team capable of pushing him to the next level. The question now is whether this bold move will help propel Tank forward, or if it's a decision driven by frustration, one that could have lasting consequences for his future in the sport. Only time will tell how this dramatic shift will affect Tank Davis, but one thing is for sure. Boxing fans are watching closely, and the pressure is on for Tank to prove that he can continue to dominate, even without the support system that helped him get to the top. At its core, Tank's decision seems pragmatic, on the surface at least, but Calvin Ford isn't buying it. To him, this feels personal. A betrayal after years of sacrifice. "This ain't about me," Ford reportedly told someone close to the situation. "It's about Tank, and right now he's looking for someone to blame." For Ford, the hurt runs deep. He didn't just train Tank, he raised him. He molded him into a champion when no one else believed in him. To be cast aside after one disappointing night stings like a punch he never saw coming. Ford's frustration is palpable. "You lose focus. You start thinking you got all the answers, that's when things go left," he said, his voice heavy with disappointment. He's watched Tank evolve from a hungry kid into a global star, but he worries that success has dulled the edge that once defined him. The Roach fight, which was supposed to be a knockout clinic, didn't go as planned. Ford believes the blame lies more with Tank's mindset than with any coaching misstep. "Calvin's been with me since I was 7, Tank once said, his tattoo of Ford's name etched on his skin as proof of their bond. "My family ain't going nowhere." Yet here they are, on opposite sides of a divide neither of them ever anticipated. Meanwhile, Barry Hunter, who was brought in to steady the ship for the Roach fight, now finds himself in an awkward position. He's caught in the crosshairs of Tank's house-cleaning mission. Tank is reevaluating everything around him, trying to figure out what went wrong. Hunter, a seasoned veteran, shared his thoughts carefully but pointedly. "I've been around boxing long enough to know how this works," he said. "Fighters switch teams when the results don't match the hype." Still, Even Hunter is surprised at the speed of this shift. If Tank follows through with a complete reset, Hunter could be out before he's even had a chance to settle in. It's a volatile situation, and the uncertainty is palpable. The boxing world is split on Tank's next move. Some see it as a bold evolution, a sign that Tank is willing to make the tough calls necessary to stay at the top. After all, great fighters adapt, they don't cling to the past. But others believe he's making a colossal mistake, burning bridges with the people who know him best just because one fight didn't go his way. Ford's words linger. You don't throw away your family for him. This isn't about boxing strategy. It's about loyalty, about remembering who was there when the lights weren't so bright. Tank, however, seems convinced that change is the only way forward. He's even hinted at bringing in a high-profile trainer, someone with a proven track record of guiding fighters to greatness. It's a dramatic shift in philosophy, and while it could be a move that propels him to even greater heights, it also raises the stakes. With so much uncertainty surrounding his camp and career, Tank's next steps are crucial. Only time will tell if this gamble will pay off, or if, in his quest for change, he risks losing the very foundation that helped him become the star he is today. Multiple world champions' names are circulating, but nothing is set in stone yet. The Roach fight, however, remains a sore spot for Tank Davis. He was heavily favored to steamroll his opponent, expected to deliver the kind of highlight reel finish that has become his trademark. But Lamont Roach Jr. didn't play by the script. Roach hung tough, taking rounds and exposing vulnerabilities in Tank's game that many hadn't seen before. Then came the 9th round controversy. Tank took a knee, ran to his corner for a face wipe, and referee Steve Willis let it slide instead of calling it a knockdown. The New York State Athletic Commission later blamed technical issues for not reviewing the situation, but that explanation left much to be desired. Roach walked away from the fight feeling robbed, and Tank was left with more questions than answers. Did he underestimate Roach? Was his preparation off? Was his camp to blame? Or was it something deeper? Roach isn't wasting any time letting the world know he's ready for a rematch. He's taken to social media to declare himself a pound-for-pound talent and demand a second shot at Tank. Any of y'all had me getting knocked out? I'm going to go back and look at y'all pages, he posted, his confidence at an all-time high. With the public clamoring for a rematch and the controversy from the first fight still unresolved, talks for a May showdown are heating up faster than anyone anticipated. For Roach, this is perfect timing. His camp is stable, his momentum is building, and he's more determined than ever to capitalize on the situation. For Tank, however, it's a different story. If he's serious about revamping his team, 2 months is a tight window to make it work. That's the gamble Tank is facing. A rematch so soon means diving into a high-stakes fight while his camp is still in flux. New trainers typically need months, not weeks, to build trust with a fighter, fine-tune strategies, and develop chemistry. Tank wouldn't have that luxury. He'd be stepping into the ring with a team still trying to find its footing. Meanwhile, Roach has the blueprint from their first encounter, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, eager to prove that the first fight was no fluke. I showed I belong against a generational star, Roach wrote on Instagram, proudly touting his role in helping to break the attendance record at Barclays Center. He's not just hungry, he's starving for another shot. Tank, however, has options beyond a rematch with Roach. Fights with Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney would undoubtedly draw bigger paydays and give him some breathing room to restructure his camp. There's even chatter about a potential blockbuster with Jake Paul, a pay-per-view goldmine. But pride may be a driving factor here. Walking away from Roach could be perceived as weakness, and Tank isn't built to back down. He wants to erase any doubts and prove that the draw was just a fluke. Taking the rematch would allow him to settle the score and prove that he's still the dominant force in the lightweight division. As the clock ticks toward May, the pressure is mounting. Tank is faced with a choice. Take the rematch against Roach, face the challenges of an unsettled camp, and defend his reputation, or take a step back, make the necessary adjustments, and face new opponents down the line. Either way, the stakes are higher than ever, and the boxing world is watching, eagerly waiting to see how this dramatic saga unfolds. Tank Davis has reached a crucial juncture in his career, and if he's going to succeed, he needs to be fully committed. No distractions, no half measures. Every ounce of focus is essential, because if he falters, Lamont Roach Jr. won't hesitate to seize the opportunity. Roach is already circling, eager for a rematch, and Tank knows that any sign of weakness could be exploited. But as if the pressure of preparing for such a high-stakes fight weren't enough, Tank is dealing with even more turmoil in his life. Adding to the chaos, Tank recently found himself in legal hot water. A Baltimore judge spared him jail time after he violated probation from a 2020 hit-and-run case that left 4 people injured. Instead of prison, Tank was sentenced to 18 more months of probation and ordered to make a hefty $110,000 donation to charity. It was a break, sure, but it still represents a major distraction at a time when focus is absolutely non-negotiable. Between courtroom appearances, a fractured training camp, and Roach breathing down his neck, Tank's road to redemption has become anything but straightforward. A rematch, especially with someone as tough and motivated as Roach, requires adjustments, and Tank can't afford to repeat the same mistakes. Roach now knows how to frustrate him, control the pace of the fight, and capitalize on Tank's slow starts. Tank has a tendency to ease into fights, and that nearly cost him the first encounter. To avoid repeating history, Tank needs to improve his conditioning, step up his sparring sessions, and have a much more refined game plan. But with just 2 months before the potential rematch, that might not be enough time to make all the necessary changes, especially while navigating ongoing legal challenges. Ford's voice still echoes in Tank's mind. Is it the trainer or is it the fighter? That question remains unanswered, and until Tank can resolve it, doubts will continue to hang over him. The truth is, Tank hasn't fully figured out if the issues with his camp are related to his own mindset or to the trainers around him. That uncertainty casts a long shadow over everything. He needs clarity, and he needs it fast. If Tank can pull this off, lock in, rebuild his team, and dominate in May, everything could change. He'd silence his critics, prove the doubters wrong, and secure his place as one of the best in the business. But if he stumbles again, the fallout could be severe. A loss to Roach wouldn't just mar his undefeated record, it would fuel questions about his judgment, his hunger, and his future in the sport. Ford's warning still lingers. When all these new people come and go, who's really going to be there for you? It's a sentiment that hits hard, considering the deep bond they once shared. For now, Tank is betting on himself. He's rolling the dice on a new chapter, hoping that the changes he's making will pay off. But with so much on the line, there's always the risk it could all blow up in his face. One thing is for certain, though, the boxing world will be watching his every move. Whatever happens next will define his legacy, and the spotlight on him is brighter than ever. Can he rise to the occasion, or will the weight of these challenges prove too much? The answer is coming soon, but until then, the drama continues to unfold, and all eyes are on Tank Davis.